And it stayed. That's even scarier. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's one that sticks. Oh, Lord. And that's the one I happened to hit. Too funny. All right, ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, about comfort and smiles. About love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand. It's about love, about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Well, swing wide the doors, that time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Woo! Big hand for that. Fantastic. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Michelotti. I've been away for a hot minute, but I'm back. So hold on to yourselves, because if you've been around me, you never know where this show is going to go. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to our Sunday celebration. And for those of you who are joining us online, welcome and thank you for being with us. We have Steve Towles in the house this morning. Give him a hand.
Yay.
He's got a great message for us today. Having fun living a principle-based life. Now, I'm looking forward to that. And we want to give a special thanks to our musical team. Sandra, Chris, thank you so much. Sandra, I hear you hit those high notes and I just shiver. It's just fantastic the way you do that. Thank you for your wonderful talents. And Chris, the way you two balance each other out is fantastic. And of course, none of this happens without our audio-visual team. So please give a hand to Byron and Wayne, because none of this happens without them. They are the reason I'm not tripping over cords this morning, so I appreciate that. We also want to say thank you to the volunteers who make this happen, the people who come in and open the doors and make sure it's warm and turn on the lights and make the coffee and make sure that I know what announcements I need and welcome our speaker and everything else. You are so appreciated. It takes an army to make this happen, and they make it look so easy and they make us look so good. So thank you for that. Give y'all a hand. And on that note, I think it's time to hear more from our fabulous musical team, so take it away.
And I'm going to make everyone be part of it. So,
woohoo!
this one is a chorus called More Abundantly. Hopefully we have the words. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Pretty repetitive, so you're welcome to stand and sing and wake yourself up if you haven't already. All right, 2, 3, 4. I've got joy more abundantly. I've got joy. Spirit flows as me. I've got the joy of God in everything I do. I've got joy more abundantly. I've got peace more abundantly. I've got peace. Spirit flows as me. I've got the peace of God in everything I do. I've got peace more abundantly. I've got strength more abundantly. I've got strength. Spirit flows as me. I've got the strength of God in everything I do. I've got strength more abundantly. I've got love more abundantly. I've got love. Spirit flows as me. I've got the love of God in everything I do. I've got love more abundantly, and we have a tag. I've got love more abundantly. I've got love more abundantly. Did y'all hit the high note?
I don't even try. I would break my vocal cords.
No, you wouldn't.
I would. I would lose my stomach. It would just fly out. I'd be over. No, that is a gift, and one that I
No.
genuinely appreciate in you. All right, we have things to know about unity. And one of the things about us, of course, is our mission, which is at this time touching hearts and transforming lives. And we do that through our service and our fellowship with one another. And our vision is offering a positive path for spiritual living. Do we need to say more about that? I think we're good. And of course, we always want to honor the prayer for our transition team because they are doing so much for us right now. And I had a slight opportunity to see some of what's happening there, and I will tell you, they are on fire. So please, let's pray for them right now. We embrace divine inspiration, guiding us to manifest the highest good for our community as we co-create our future. All right, this is also a wonderful time for you to greet your neighbors. Say hello to one another, and I'll give you about a minute to do that. And no, we're not greeting our neighbor. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Okay. Well, hello to you all from me. All right. Well, we do have a statement for peace, and this is a very important part of who we are. So I invite you to join me together. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge our nation, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever the name for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Thank you. Now you all get to greet each other and say hello to your neighbors. And I'll start dinging something to let you know that it's time to stop. Because I know y'all love each other so much, you have a hard time stopping. Thank you. And for those of you at home, I hope you're feeling the hugs we are sending your way, giving you all some virtual hugs. All right, for today, we will be looking at our daily word for today. So our Sunday, January 28th, divine wisdom, love, and strength guide me to freedom. While I may not be able to control what is happening around me, I have the power to choose my response. Even though it may seem paradoxical, assuming complete responsible for my reactions and choices is the key to my freedom. No one and nothing can make me feel a certain way. Living from this awareness gives me the power to create my life from the inside out. I choose my thoughts, words, and actions. If I don't like what my life is showing me, I have the power to make new choices. I do not squander my spiritual freedom. Other people and worldly situations have no control over me. Taking full responsibility for my life, I am free to create my future by living from my divinity. And from 1 Peter 2:16, as servants of God, live as free people, yet do not use your freedom as a pretext for evil. And from here, let me make sure that I'm on the right track. Excellent. At this time, I'd like to invite Steve to take us into meditation. Into meditation we go.
Testing, okay. Well, good morning. I invite you, if you would, just begin a journey with me, a journey inward as we let go of the world around us, as we bring our full attention and energy to this sacred space, this sanctuary, this place where we come apart from the world, this place that has been built by the loving hands of many, many people. And it's here for each of us to partake in the quiet time and the wisdom and the energy and the love of the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God that lives within each one of us. And so as we turn our attention within, letting go of the world around us, feeling the energy, the presence, and the power and the love that is here, I want to take a moment to turn our attention to Steve Colliday, Reverend Steve, who has been the minister here for a number of months over the last year. and who has left because of a condition that he's dealing with. And so we send our love, we send our healing energy, we send our light, we send our good wishes, all of our hopes and desires, that he may come through his journey, lifted in spirit, healed in all ways, and that his journey will continue. This ongoing journey will continue. And so as we allow that energy, that life force, to be sent forward, as we do that, we recognize that anytime we send healing energy forth to someone else, we also receive it ourselves. So whatever healing that may be needed for each one of us here in this moment, just know that as we pray for others, we pray for ourselves, and we unleash the power and the energy and the love and the life and the wisdom of spirit, of our divine nature, of our divine self. And that love and life and energy sets us on a path. We call it a spiritual path. It is a path that each one of us walks in our own way. It is unique to each of us. It is something that we create as we live our life. Perhaps it is our purpose here to finally be on a path that we are conscious of, aware of, focused on, and that gives us the courage and the ability to do what it is that we have come here to do. We have come here to love, to create, to heal, to lift, to transform, and to be the light and the energy and the love of God. And however we do that, however that comes forth within us, is our path. And so let us take this awareness and this understanding as we just move into the silence of our being for just a moment, to let that energy begin to flow in the silence. In the silence. And we say thank you, God, for this divine moment, for the love that we share, the wisdom that we seek, and the courage to live our life openly, lovingly, and completely. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Look for for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. People done gone crazy. People done gone mad. People done forgot the superpowers we all have. We were born to love, not hate. We can decide our fate and look for the good in everyone and celebrate all our mistakes. If there's a silver lining, you'll still have to find it, find it, find it. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone needs sunshine. Everyone needs rain. Everyone is carrying around some kind of pain. I see who you are. You're just like me. I see you're searching for a purpose, guided by a dream. I see who you are. I'm just like you. I get lost sometimes and I forget what I came here to do. I keep on trying. When it gets frightening, look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. Let's try it, you know this. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone.
If I stand here, am I okay on the camera? I can stand here and still. Okay, I just want to be sure. I'm not, it seemed like I'm far back up there. So, anyway, I'm Steve Towles. I've been in Unity for 52 years. I started when I was in my 20s, and so I've added a few years on since then. I went into the ministry 40 years ago. And I served in, I became ordained in 1984, and I served in Sacramento, Reno, Nevada, and then two ministries in Seattle. And then I took a little sabbatical and did some work with seniors and housing, senior housing and that sort of thing. And then I became the minister in Coeur d'Alene for 3 years in 2018 until a couple of years ago when I retired. And decided to go off and do my own thing. I don't think we ever retire. I think we just sort of shift gears and not get paid for our work anymore. I think that's the reality. Other ways, yes. We're doing penance for whatever, right? Letting go of things, right? So a few years ago on my 70th birthday, I decided to do the Camino de Santiago and had kind of a wild trip doing that. Went back, I only made it halfway and I had an injury, and then I went back a couple of years later after COVID and finished. And then I went back again and did it for a third time all the way from start to finish. And then I went back last fall and did a partial one as well. And so it's gotten kind of become my spiritual path, is hiking and walking and being in nature and hanging out with people and that sort of thing. And one of the great things about doing a journey like that is the people. The people that you meet are just amazing from all over the world. People that are transitioning, transforming, changing, dealing with issues in their life, open, they talk to you, you have incredible conversations. It's just a wonderful dynamic that occurs. And I ended up adopting all these kids and grandkids that I walked with for days. You just fall in love with everybody. It's just an incredible experience. And it really was such a powerful outpicturing of a spiritual path. In other words, our spiritual path is something that we actually choose ourselves. Somebody cannot put our spiritual path down for us. Somebody can't tell us what our spiritual path is. It has to come from deep inside of ourselves. It's our own outpicturing of who it is that we are and what we've come here to do, essentially. And much of our journey is discovering that. Sometimes we discover it early. Sometimes it takes us a while. It doesn't really matter when it happens. What matters is it does happen, that we get into relationship with us. I was listening to a fellow named John Fogelsang. You ever heard of this guy? He's on YouTube, and he's kind of become a little bit popular. And he grew up. He's a comedian, but he grew up. His mother was a nun, a nurse and a nun, and his father was a Franciscan brother. And they fell in love in New York City, and after finally they both decided to leave the whatever you call it. What do you call it? Order. Leave the order. Yes, leave the order. There we go. And get married, and then they had him as a son. And so he grew up and kind of steeped in religion, and he has some very interesting things to talk about. But one of the things he mentioned that kind of struck me, I just heard this last night when I was watching a little YouTube clip of him, was that religion, for the first time, less than 50% of the people in our country identify with a church or a synagogue or a mosque. So we've dropped below 50% for the first time. And he said, people think that the fastest growing religion is the Mormon church. And the truth is, he said, the fastest growing religion are people who see themselves, people who are on a spiritual path versus a religious path. So we see ourselves as spiritual people. That's the fastest growing religion, is the religion of spirituality. Which I was like, yes, that's great, And he's really into Jesus' teachings. I mean, that's his thing, and he says Jesus is this radical, progressive, liberal individual who hangs around with prostitutes and tax collectors, and he's a healer, and he's a teacher, and all these different things. He has a whole stream of things he talks about him. And he said, and one of the things that happens is we don't listen to him. People believe in Jesus, but they don't believe him. They don't believe what he said. What he said gets lost. And his journey was about love and compassion, and it was about forgiveness. And he flipped his religion on its. He flipped a lot of things in his religion, and he changed our thinking and our reality, and so he came up with these principles. And what has happened, we've sort of missed that in the process. And so religion, for many people, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why it's changing so rapidly, religion has now become something that somebody else tells us what to do, and we don't like that. We don't like to do that. And Emily Cady, it's interesting that Emily Cady said that in her book Lessons in Truth, when she talked about denial, she said, in reference to Matthew 16:24, which reads, "Then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. She said, even today, many interpret this saying of Jesus as meaning if anyone wants to please God, they must give up about all the enjoyment and comfort they have. All things we like and want, and must take up the heavy cross of constantly doing the things which are repugnant to us in our daily life. This is why many young people say, when I am old, I'll be a Christian, but not now. For I want to enjoy life first. And I want to tell you that I think the most enjoyable thing in life is to be on a spiritual path. That the most fun thing to do in life is to be on a spiritual path. Somebody once told me that, that life is about risk. And risk, and then they defined risk as jumping off a cliff and building your wings on the way down. Now think about that for a moment. It's a little scary, right? You jump off a cliff. Well, that's really stepping out in faith, is it not? Isn't that we talk about stepping out in faith all the time? And what does it mean? And I think all the times in my life that I've stepped out in faith, when I entered the ministry and all the times, you can't be a minister and not be stepping out in faith all the time because it's such a weird profession. It's very dysfunctional in a lot of ways, and yet it's very powerful in other ways because when you are in ministry, you have to grow. If you don't grow, your life is about spiritual growth. That's what it is. So you have to try things. You have to do things that put you out there. You step off that cliff, and then you build your wings on the way down. And so far, I've managed to do that. I've managed to build my wings on the way down. But the thing is that when we get into the right mindset, when we start doing that, it's fun. It's exciting. It's powerful. It's meaningful. And it doesn't matter what age we are, we never stop doing it. That's what the Camino was about. The Camino, for me, was about walking 500 miles across a foreign country by myself, is stepping out in faith and building the wings on the way down because you figure it out when you get there. And you deal with all the things that come up, and all the lessons are there, and all the things that happen that you don't expect to happen. And all that stuff is a big part of it, that experience. So I think it's very interesting that I think the Bible is a very heavy book. You think, the Bible, right? Somebody says, well, in the Bible, it says X, Y, Z. And so it sounds very heavy, very this. And yet, the Bible is a book about people. And whenever there's people, what's going on? People are having fun. Partying. They're playing games. They're playing tricks on each other. Can you imagine Jesus' disciples? They didn't just sit around, talking. They probably did all kinds of crazy stuff that we never heard about. Jesus, Jesus never wrote anything. He had a ghostwriter. All the stuff that was written down was written by somebody else. It wasn't written by him. He was hanging out with his folks and doing his thing and doing his healing and all that kind of stuff. So they had parties. And yet there were also tragedies and difficulties and challenges, and you can't read the Bible without being conditioned in some way to all the disasters that occurred, all the tragedies that occurred, all the violence that occurred, all the things that happened in the Bible, because the Bible, the Old Testament, most specifically, is a journey of a group of people from sense consciousness to Christ consciousness. That's the journey. Do we react and respond to the world, or do we react and respond to our inner sense of who we are and what our purpose is in life? Because that's the difference between walking a religious path and walking a spiritual path. You can be religious and be spiritual at the same time. I mean, you can be in an organized religion and kind of follow the process of that organized religion, but you can also be spiritual at the same time. It's not an either-or proposition. But for a lot of folks, it has to be an either-or proposition in order to get on their path. Once you get on the path, then you can come back. I can go into any church and sit and get a lot out of whatever happens in that church because I know who I am and what my path is and what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish in life. And so I can sit there and get the good out of it. See the good in everything. See the good in everyone. See the good and call it forth into expression. That's the process that we're involved in. Can you imagine when David fought Goliath? That whole story in biblical story. And here's this 16-year-old shepherd. And he was good with a sling because that's how he protected his sheep, the flocks that he was protecting. He got really good at getting rid of the predators that would come and attack with this thing. And so nobody would step forth when they said, well, if you fight Goliath, whoever wins the war, right? That was the deal. And nobody would step forth because this Goliath is this big guy. He's characterized as like 10 feet tall and, big sword and all this. And so David knew that he could deal with an individual or deal with an animal that's bigger than him and that's meaner than he could deal with that. He did that all the time, so he stepped forth. Well, when Saul, the king, accepted him as that person to represent him, he gave him his armor. And Saul's this big guy. And so David puts on the armor, and he's standing there in this armor that's like, doesn't fit him, And you can imagine he probably stood there and he probably started laughing. This is, they don't tell us this, but, I can't imagine that he didn't start laughing, and because he knew that he couldn't do that. He couldn't this wasn't his way. It wasn't his path to use a sword and to have armor. He would have gotten creamed, literally. And so he was true to himself, and he stepped out on the field, and he accomplished the mission because he knew who he was. He knew what he could do. He knew what his path was in that regard. It's interesting that in Proverbs 17:22 it says, "A merry heart does good like medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones." Well, how do we have a merry heart? We have a merry heart because we're infused with divine energy of life and love and joy and wisdom and all the things that come to us and that fill us when we are walking our path in a conscious way. Walking a path in a conscious way. I wrote a book after my Camino thing I wrote two books. One is Heaven is Walking the Camino de Santiago, and the other is Heaven is Walking the Spiritual Path. And that picture is a sunrise on the Camino, so just to kind of signify that. And so heaven is walking the spiritual path. And if we're in heaven, when I think of heaven, I think of good things. I think of happy things. I think of fun things. I think of exciting things. I think of all those kinds of things on the spiritual path. So if we, this talk today is chapter 10, sort of an adaptation of chapter 10 in that particular book. So it's a series of lessons about trying to help people evoke the energy and to get very conscious about who they are and what their gifts are and what they can do and how they can use their gifts. Because if we're using our gifts, and that's our focus, when we recognize what we can do and can't do, like David, for example, we recognize what we can do and what we can't do, and we start doing the things that we can do and do them well and move forward, we're happy. We're prosperous. The universe steps up and supports us in what it is that we're doing. The money that we need comes through the work that we're doing. That's how it kind of shows up. We become more creative, we become more focused, and all that. There's a wonderful story about a 60-year-old man who had to go into a pulmonary rehabilitation program because he had a heart valve transplant. And he was very depressed, extremely depressed, and he couldn't seem to get out of it. It was, he was just, this heart thing was just, it was painful, and it was all the stuff that centers around, having to do this. And the nurses were very worried about him, and they took him into the rehabilitation area one day, and he had lost 25 pounds, and all of his clothes that he was wearing, his, the pants and all that stuff were very loose on him. So they put him on the treadmill, to get up on the treadmill, And he's standing there ready to start, and all of a sudden his pants fell down. And he's exposed, totally. And he's standing there, and all the nurses are like, oh, they're like, this is horrible, this is awful, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden he looks down and he looks up and he starts laughing. And he was hysterical laughing. And that was the first day of the beginning of his rehabilitation. The first day that he could move forward. And one of the nurses wrote, it reminded her of a poem. She said, "It's easy enough to smile when the world goes round and round, but the man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his pants are falling down." And is that not true? When we're comfortable with ourselves, when we're confident in ourselves, we can deal with stuff. We can see the humor in it. Sometimes I think heaven is like, heaven is the experience of sitting around sharing all the stuff we did and laughing about it. All the crazy things that happened in our life. I'm 74. When you live 74 years, a lot of crazy stuff happens in your life. And a lot of good stuff. But also, one of my friends posted on Facebook. He was lamenting about the loss of the use of the paddle for discipline. This is one of my high school classmates right on Facebook. This is just yesterday. Loss of the use of the paddle. And so I wrote back to him and I said, I don't remember that having any effect on us. I said, I think there are a lot of people in therapy that might have been subject to the paddle. And he writes back and he said, well, you're not going to trick me to start talking about therapy stuff. And I said, no. So then I wrote back and I said, as I remember, I said, the paddle only caused us to not get caught. It didn't cause us to stop getting into mischief. And he writes back with a thumbs up. And he said, it has nothing to do with one generation being better than another. There are issues in every method has issues, and I certainly feel much better that corporal punishment is not much a part of our culture anymore in terms of schools. Because I remember getting a couple of swats in junior high that were painful. Didn't stop me from doing anything, but it was painful. When we live a principle-based life is one that is lived in an awareness and experience of the universal principles and laws that we can use to build our consciousness and to govern the effects that we form in our lives. So it's understanding spiritual principles of love, compassion, forgiveness, those kinds of things. The law of mind action, which thoughts in mind produce after our kind. It causes us to think about how we think. In unity, we always talk about the ideas. We don't tell people what to think. We try to teach people to think for themselves. We encourage people to think for themselves, to go within, because all the wisdom that we need is in here. It's within our own experience. Everything that we need is here. Sometimes it takes somebody else to say something to us that evokes it, but it's got to come from in here. It's got to feel right. It's got to be what guides us and directs us and moves us forward on our path. And when we move forward on our path, we don't cause hurt in other people's lives. We just don't. Or we don't, certainly there's no intention. Sometimes people get hurt because they project onto us something, but that's not our mission or our goal or anything else. Our job, we're not directed towards one particular goal and damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, here I go. It doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to get there whether I want to or not. No, we recognize there's a journey, and in the journey we have to take care of business as we move along our journey. Nothing wrong with being successful in business or in other thing. In fact, that's admirable. But I really believe that how we do something is just as important as what we do. That you can get everything you need, all the money you want in your life, but if you haven't gotten it in a way that is is consistent with your soul, with who you are, what your experience is, then you'll never be happy with it. It'll never be enough. It'll never serve you in the way it could serve you if you were fully connected with the divine presence within yourself and you're following a conscious spiritual path. And so when we get right on our spiritual path, all of a sudden we start looking for opportunities and we have fun doing it. We connect with people. One of the things that I experienced on the Camino that was so powerful is the individual connections that I made with other people, heart to heart. Powerful heart-to-heart connections, not romance. There's no romance on the Camino. It is heart-to-heart connections, brotherhood, sisterhood, that all exist. People often say, if we could interact with people in life the way we interact on the Camino, life would be incredibly amazing. Because the thing about it is that everybody that's walking it is going the same place. Is that a metaphor? Are we all going the same place? Well, we know we're going the same place when you're walking that. It's very physical in that sense. You're going from St. John de Pied-de-Port, France, to Santiago de Compostela, and you're walking across northern Spain to do it. And so everybody's going the same place, and everybody has stuff that they're dealing with, and you start walking with somebody, and they're walking with you, and they just share their life, everything, no holds barred. It's like you've been friends for 20 years, and they just open up, and it's amazing. Some of the stories that I heard on the Camino of people's lives, and the more they tell the story, the more healed they become, because people just accept them for who you are, And so it's one of those kinds of experiences that has such a metaphorical connection with normal life experience, when we can take some of those lessons and bring it back and just see that this is a journey, and that I'm on a journey and I'm headed someplace. And I have a destination, and we all have a destination. And maybe it's the same place, I don't know, but because we all have a destination, I have no reason to judge somebody else in terms of their life. And which one of Jesus' teachings, don't judge, lest ye be judged. So let the judgments go, because the judgments aren't helpful to us. Discernment is helpful to us. Discernment is just kind of discerning what it is we need out of a situation, or discerning the answer to a question or a challenge or a problem without condemning somebody else and who they are and their path and what their choices are in their life. And whether they're bad or good, our job is to see the good in everyone. In 1994, I did a mission statement for myself. And the mission statement was, I see the good in everyone and everything and call it forth into expression. That was the mission statement. From that point forward, the rest of my life has been about how do I implement that in my life. And I wrote a whole big long thing about how I would do it then, but then's not now. And so that changes, it evolves, it shifts, it goes a different direction. And so having fun is really, when we live in the context of that experience, we are having a good time in our life. Freud said that like wit and comic humor, humor has a liberating element. It is the triumph of narcissism, the ego's victorious assertion of its own invulnerability. It refuses to suffer the slings and arrows of reality. Our attitudes, our thoughts, our experience, our feelings change what happens, creates what happens. How we show up, how we respond to the moments in life, the challenges in life, changes it. It reforms it. I've been with Carrie Joyce as my partner, and we've been together for 14 years now. And she's not had very successful relationships, and the first couple of years that I was with her, I figured out why. I love her to pieces, right? But she's a perfectionist. And I'm not. That's not my thing. But, so she would tell me to do little things, like wiping off the counters, or it's just like there's always some little thing, right? And I could feel myself kind of like, getting resistant or coming back, and I thought, I don't know if I can do this or not. Those kind of, and then I thought for a moment, I thought, well, I said, I'm not here to change her. She is who she is. She's the same age as I am, so she's lived a long life, right? She is who she is. And she's the sweetest person, and she's wonderful, but that little thing, could get to be a real problem. And so I decided that I was just going to go along with it. I mean, it's one thing, right? I'll just go with the flow. And so when she asks me to do something, I just do it. And I don't gripe and complain and say no. And, pretty soon, she just sort of let it go. And she still, once in a while, there's something, she says something, but it's like, it's like how I show up changes the dynamic. If we don't try to change each other, if we don't try to make each other something that they're not, if we just accept each other for who we are, and then live in the context of that reality with each other, then we change that. We have deep and meaningful relationships with people we may not expect to have deep and meaningful relationships with. I know I drive her nuts probably with some of my damn the torpedo. I'm an Aries. And the motto of an Aries is ready, fire, aim. And so I have to be really conscious about that, because I know that's my instinct, that's my nature going. Just go for it, just do it, because there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done in my life if I hadn't had that sort of dynamic. So I think the whole point, I guess, here is that, life is a joyous adventure if we make it that, if we choose to make it that. And we all have our own unique spiritual path that we are on. You're not on my path. I'll never be on your path. You'll never be on each other's path. You might share this facility, this community. You might come together in this community to support each other on your individual paths and bring your gifts and your interests and your preferences and all the stuff that works for you in terms of the community. And you see each other and you call them forth and you pray. Like right now we're praying for Steve Colliday because he needs our support and prayer and energy. We start doing that as a community. That's what the community's about. And that's what keeps the community together. You're not going to come here and you're not going to get a list of things, a way to live or things you should do and not do. Or you don't have to come here or you're going to go to hell or whatever the issue is. And so you're going to come here because you want to share who it is that you are and you want to learn more about yourself. And then we can help each other and support each other in that dynamic. And so that's what this is all about. And so living a principled life is simply following the principles that we know to be true in our life and then using them in every aspect of our life, whether it's home, business, raising children, whatever it is. We live those principles in our life. When we do it, we live a very conscious life, a happy life, a joyous life, and we deal with the tragedies in our life in ways that we might never imagined that we could do. And we change the reality and change our experience. I brought my books back there on the table. So if anybody wants a copy, you can buy one there. You can get both copies for $20. And then this one's $10.95 and the other one's $12.95. Mainly it's $12.95. It's a smaller book, but it has colored pictures in it. And that was the difference in terms of the pricing of the thing. So anyway, I'll be back there after the service, and I can take a credit card if you need it to do that. And if this is something that looks to you like it might be helpful, they're here for you. And they're all signed, so you have a signed book. So thank you for having me today. And I know that this community is in a lot of transition right now, and we're just holding a a very positive and uplifting thought that whatever's needing to happen here is going to happen in a powerful and loving way, because there's powerful and loving people that are allowing it to happen right now. So thank you. God bless, and have a wonderful day.
Wow, that's good stuff. All right, I know you know this song, so if you'd like to sing along, please do. 2, 3, 4. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Well, here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. Eyes, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Well, first, let me say thank you to Reverend Stephen. That was a phenomenal message. I loved
Yeah,
it. I
nice.
will be at your table, because I think I'm going to have to read some of that. And I think just a wonderful, uplifting, fabulous. And I will never be one of those who walks that journey that you have walked, but I am so thrilled to get to hear the impact that it's had on you and the way you shared that with us that impacts us in a positive way. Thank you so much for that. Genuinely appreciate that. All right. It is time for us to decide as individuals how you would like to support Unity. And part of that can be done through your love offerings, your donations, your tithes. There is information online if you want to participate online. And of course, we will pass the bags today. And if you would like to put a little jingle or something that folds, you go on with your bad selves. We appreciate that. And while we have that, we will have a beautiful piano solo by our wonderful Sandra. So Sandra, I'll have you, oh, am I missing any announcements? Do I need to do announcements?
You're
I'm good? Okay. Told you we're going off the rails. All right, Sandra, it's all you. And that was a arrangement by Lawrence Van Ruin. Did I pronounce that right,
I think
Sandra?
so.
Okay. I invite you now to join me in our love offering blessing together. Divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I would like to remind you that if you wish to place prayers in our offering box, those prayers will be prayed over 30 days with Silent Unity, and we are happy to do that. We have a wonderful prayer team, and I will tell you that stuff works, and it works fast. So please, yes.
Can you remind people to say a prayer for Mark?
That's coming up. Yep, next on my list. Thank you, Doug. We do have some announcements. For instance, we wish to have some special prayers go out to Marv Sora. Marv is at home. It is my understanding that he is under hospice care, and that he is, if you wish to visit him, please call ahead of time to make sure that he is receiving visitors. So we want to make sure that special blessings and prayers go out to him in the highest outcome, for the highest good, for whatever is meant for him. We send him our love and our blessings, and we hope for positive outcome for him. Of course, we're also sending out blessings to Steve Colliday in his time, for as he has things that are happening in his life, we also wish for the highest good for him as well. In other announcements, on March 15th, there is going to be a St. Patty's talent show. More to come on that. I don't have a whole lot of information on that yet, but it sounds like it's going to be a blast. So if you want to participate in it, yes. And if you just want to come and enjoy it, yes, please do. And then on March 17th, it is our annual meeting. We will be having a potluck on that day also, so please come. There is so much happening in our community right now, and it is so important for us to all be a part of that as we're moving forward in our future in some extraordinary ways. So I want to really invite you all to come and be a part of that, to see what is coming up in our future. It's cool stuff. And at this time, I think I have, I'm sorry. Okay, we do have a couple of others. We have Love is All Around. This is a live concert with Pamela Benton. This is going to be held on February 9th at the Unity Spiritual Center on South Hill. So that's the one that's up on 29th South and Bernard. It's February 9th from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And it is, early bird is $25. And on the day 1st through the 9th is $30. So don't miss that. That sounds like it's going to be really wonderful.
Pamela is hysterical. She's an amazing musician. I don't know if you know her. She is just an amazing violinist, but she also is a vocalist, and she's an entertainer. So she comes right out into the crowd and connects with people, and I mean literally plays up a storm on the violin. So I have met her, and she's just a wonderful a solo act. She's really amazing.
Well, we love that kind of a plug, so don't miss that. Be there, because, we're all looking for connection, right? And also, Believe into the 12 with Reverend David McClure. These are the 12 powers. This will be Thursday, January 18th through February 29th. This will be at 10 o'clock in the morning through 11:30 at the Unity Spiritual Center in Spokane. It is $125 for 7 weeks. They have a couple of payment options, and I will leave this out on the table. It has a QR code that you can scan for that, or you can go to the website, or also you can contact Deanne Doyle at her email, which is also going to be on here. And for those of you who want to go back to YouTube and watch this later in the day to see what that is ddoyle@unityspokane.org. And we will have that up on our website. We'll also put that on our Facebook, so that if any of you want an opportunity to collaborate and participate in that, we really, really would love that. All right. Don't forget our hospitality sign-up sheet, big stuff, and we're always looking for volunteers to help out. And as I am back to help with platform assisting and other things, you know me, I'm going to be begging for your assistance. And if begging does not work, then I turn to manipulation. So, your choice. Kidding, maybe. Yeah, don't try to change me. I am's what I am's. All right, on that note, let's bring in our kids.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Kendra, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. So nice to see you. So today we continued our lesson on the story of baby Moses. So we're working on understanding the story a little better. It's a work in progress, but we watched a video about the story of baby Moses, and then all the kids made a baby Moses in a basket, and then we used walnut shells, and then we created a river that started leaking, and tested if the baskets with the babies floated down the river. But what we're still working on is just the metaphysical meaning of the story of baby Moses. We're kind of learning that slowly. We'll be talking about it more next week. And then just how God's protection is always there. So that's kind of an overriding theme. So that's what we did today. Okay, we're going to do the children's blessing. So first the adults are going to bless you, and then you guys are going to bless the adults. Go ahead.
Behold the Christ.
Christ in you.
Are you guys ready to say it back to us? Okay, it's on the screen if you need to read.
Look up at the screen.
God loves you and accepts you just the way you are, and will love you and accept you just the way you are. Behold the Christ in you. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, you beautiful people, let's get in our circle so we can sing our song of peace on earth, and then we will move into our prayer of protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Yeah.
I tell you, that is a gift. Thank you. And now into our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Remember, you are loved and you are loved.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here comes bad news talking this and that. Yeah, give me all you got, don't hold it back. Yeah, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah, no offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Oh, bring me down, can nothing bring me down. My love is too high, bring me down. Can nothing bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, can't nothing bring me down. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy.
They didn't want to dance?
Hi, how are you?
Things are kind of settling down. We just moved. Yeah. The weather's been so bad lately, we haven't been going anywhere. Because we love that tree.
Oh, yeah, we had the deep freeze and then everything is in the rainforest.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you again about possibly singing. To do that.
Yeah, and I did send you some stuff, but I never heard back, so
I didn't get it.
yeah, I sent it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it. Can I?
Give me your email again, because I actually have a new email and I'll send it from that. Maybe it didn't go from the, but it said that it was delivered, so I thought, but I knew you were moving and busy and stuff was happening, so. Yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. Yeah, I did get, let me put it right here. Sherry SH.
so long ago, maybe it's just slipped my mind.
About what?
What,
Oh.
you're, if you sent an email, maybe.
Oh, yeah, no, it would have been, I think it was like, it was within that time frame after you came, because I wanted to keep the connection. I said,
Yeah.
hey, when you feel like joining us.
Well, things have been. There's a situation that I'm dealing with. It's very difficult, but it's getting a little better. But it's,
Well, that usually takes one's focus.
unfortunately, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So I'm ready to put the foot out and step out. I did bring a couple songs if you wanted to. Yeah, I've been, I'm not so much in